The following video module uses Catapult Design Analyzer to analyze multi-block designs and look at other more advanced features of the Catapult Design Analyzer. So far in the previous video modules, we have looked at single block designs. We will now look at a more complex multi-block design that uses class-based coding style. In this design example, there is a class, adder class, that has been coded to be a standalone design block. This can be seen because of the Pragma HLS design interface on the public method run, which is part of the class. This adder class reads some input channels and does an addition of the two channels and writes the data out. The top level class, simple hierarchy, has an array of type adder class with 4 elements, has a member function called multblock, which takes 2 sets of input values and multiplies them and writes the data out, another member function called mem_accum, which reads 2 input channels and writes the data into an internal memory while also reading the data out of the internal memory from the previous computation and writes it into a channel. And then the top level public member function for the simple hierarchy class instantiates the 4 instances of our adder class and also calls the member functions for multblock and mem_accum. There are also internal channels, an array with 4 elements called CONN, and an array M with 2 elements that are used to interconnect the various design blocks in the design. The design is synthesized in Catapult with the A instance blocks pipelined at the main loop. The mult block is left unpipelined, as well as the mem_accum block is left unpipelined. A resource constraint has been set on the mult block to force pipelining onto the multiplier to add 2 input registers and 2 output registers. After the design is synthesized, we can begin analyzing it by launching the Catapult Design Analyzer. Once Design Analyzer launches, we can see the multi-block nature of our design by beginning with the module view that shows us our design blocks. We see our top-level design, simple hierarchy, and then we see the different design blocks for A_inst 0 through 3, our 4 instances of the adder class. We see the mem_accum block, and we see the mult block. Notice that as the design blocks are clicked in the module view, the corresponding design block is being highlighted in the RTL schematic. Likewise, clicking on a design block in the RTL schematic will highlight the appropriate instance in the module view. The scope view for the top-level design shows us the constructor for our top-level design, and then shows us the various function calls at the top-level design for the various design blocks. We see the loop with 4 iterations that was used to instantiate our adder block, and the function calls can be cross-probed either to the call or to the actual function definition itself by clicking on either call or func in the scope view. The other blocks that we see in the schematic are the interconnect pipes that were synthesized from the interconnect channels in the C design. This can be seen by clicking on the interconnect pipes, which highlights the channels in our C design, and more detailed information can be obtained on how the interconnect pipes were synthesized by switching the object view to the extract state and looking at the detail information for any particular pipe. For example, the selected pipe here has a width of 18 bits and a FIFO size or depth of 1 element. One thing to observe about the RTL schematic is that there are a large number of nets for things such as reset, data ready valid handshake, and other types of control signals, and this can make it cluttered when simply trying to analyze the interconnect topology of the design. To get a more simplistic view that allows us to analyze our interconnect, we can switch the state for the RTL schematic from extract to the compile state, and this will show us just the function calls as well as the interconnect channels, which can also be selected and clicked on and cross-probed back to the C design. Design analysis and filtering can be done on the individual design blocks in the same fashion that was covered in the previous video modules. Each individual design block can be analyzed independently by selecting it and filtering. Filtering for the design blocks can be done either using the filtering button or the shortcut by double-clicking on a design block. Double-clicking on the design block adds that design block to the filter, which is indicated here by highlighting the block in yellow, and then selects all of the objects below the design block, which we can see displayed in the RTL schematic as well as the schedule view. Note how each instance of the outer blocks as they are filtered shows the same hardware structure, and this is because they are identical and instances of the same class. Lastly, double-clicking to filter to the mult block shows us that the multiplier has been synthesized as a pipeline multiplier. One difference between the schedule view in Design Analyzer versus the schedule or Gantt chart in the Catapult GUI is that there are some limitations in displaying pipeline sequential components. The current version of Design Analyzer is not capable of showing the input to register delay or the clock to out delay, and simply indicates the number of sequential stages by the FF symbol that is part of the pipeline multiplier symbol. So we can see here that there are 4 register stages in this pipeline multiplier implementation. Double-clicking on the mem accum block in order to filter to it, it can be noted in the design schedule that the 2 yellow operations are the memory read and the memory write for the array mem, which we said had been mapped to a memory when synthesizing in Catapult. As a final step, let's analyze the RTL that was generated for these memory accesses. Going to the window menu and switching to the RTL versus C view, we add in the Verilog for RTL.V and slide it over so we can view the RTL and the C side by side. And now let's select the memory read from our C design. Selecting objects from either the C design or the RTL schematic or the object view or the scope view will often result in multiple selections in the RTL or potentially other views which may not be seen on screen. It is possible to walk through the list of selected objects by clicking on the desired window, which is now highlighting the banner in gray, and clicking on the right or left green arrow that will advance to the next object in the current selection. So as I click on the green arrow, we can see that I am moving through the RTL for all the portions of the RTL that were selected based on that memory read in the C source. This concludes the video module for Design Analyzer on doing multi-block design.